Hello everyone and welcome back to Mays-And-Shamel. Today I'm working on one of the most heartbreaking and pivotal scenes from our upcoming novel, A Concrete Promise. This illustration is for a character named Elena. While she may not be the main protagonist, she's pretty significant to the story nevertheless. As I start blocking in the basic forms, the composition is key. I'm placing Elena close to the viewer, making her the undeniable focal point. The entire piece hinges on capturing the emotion on her face and in her posture. That instinct to hug yourself, to hold yourself together when you suddenly feel completely and utterly alone. In this scene, she's standing in an airport, a place that's supposed to be for happy reunions. But for her, it's the exact opposite. This is the moment a woman realizes she has been left behind, trapped in what was supposed to be a fairy tale, while her entire life walks away without her. Right now, I'm not getting hung up on the details. This early stage is all about finding the emotion of the pose. So my focus is on the basic lines and the main proportions of her body. If the sketch looks rough, that's completely intentional. I need my hand to stay loose, to be free to find the right form. It's kind of like tuning an old radio. You know, the station you're looking for is in there somewhere, so you turn the dial, moving past it and then coming back, slowly zeroing in on that clear signal. Sketching is the same. You're not drawing a perfect line. You're searching for it. And each of these rough marks is just a step in finding that final true form. And you'll see moments like this happen all the time. I wasn't happy with the initial size of her hand. It felt a little too small for her body. So, no problem. I'm just erasing it and sketching it again slightly bigger. This is exactly what the sketching phase is for. It's the time to make all your changes and corrections to get the foundation of the drawing just right before you start committing to the final details. Trust me, trying to fix a major proportional error when you're deep into shading and color is an absolute nightmare. It's like trying to move a load-bearing wall after the roof is already on. So never be afraid to erase. It's not a mistake. It's a crucial part of the process. Alright, so with Elena's pose figured out, it's time to build the world around her. I'm starting to establish the airport setting, and for me, that begins with the ceiling. You know that look that so many airports have? That vast, almost industrial space where all the structural supports, the beams, and the metal bars are visible. I want to capture that feeling, that sense of being in a huge impersonal machine. And to contrast with that cold, structural feel, I'm adding these beautiful, massive windows in the background. I imagine this scene with a wall of glass that allows us to see the shape of an airplane waiting outside. I think it adds a layer of drama to the scene. Here, I'm sketching the other side of this moment, the family as they're walking away, leaving Elena behind. The full story of how they all ended up in this heartbreaking situation is, of course, in the book. I'm drawing them as a single, retreating unit to really emphasize Elena's isolation. On the far right is Sarah, and next to her is David, Elena's husband. I'm deliberately showing him focused on the practical task of pushing the luggage cart leading the way. And this little guy is Leo, his hand held in a tight, protective grip by his older sister Mary, who, as you know, is one of the main protagonists of the story. Finally, on the far left is Lily, completing this small, sad procession as they disappear into the crowd. You can see I'm also blocking in some basic shadows here. Nothing too crazy, just a way to start visualizing where the light is coming from in the scene. With the sketch transferred to this sheet of gray pastel paper, we're ready for my favorite part, bringing the scene to life with color. You'll notice I'm not working on white paper. I rarely do with pastels unless I'm creating a scene that's incredibly bright. For most cases, I find that starting with a mid-tone paper like this gives you a huge head start. It's like having your mid-values already established for you. This allows you to focus on pushing the deep, dark shadows and pulling out the bright highlights without a lot of extra work. The first step is to block in the foundational color for the entire piece. Since this is such a sad, melancholy moment, taking place in the dim, artificial light of the airport, I'm starting with a base of dark blue to establish that cool, somber mood. The key here, as I lay down this first layer, is to use a very light, steady pressure. The goal isn't to create a thick, heavy block of color, but a smooth, even tone that will serve as the canvas for all the details we'll be building on top. As I start to fill in the basic colors for each element in the drawing, my mind inevitably goes to Elena's situation. It's interesting how life can throw a challenge at you that you never saw coming. You can spend years planning, working hard, and doing everything right to build a certain kind of life, only to be blindsided by fate and find yourself facing the one outcome you spent all your energy trying to avoid. It really brings to mind the idea of destiny. I never used to put much stock in it, but when you explore stories like this and see it in real life, you start to wonder if some things are meant to happen, for better or for worse. And that leads to the real question, the one at the heart of this novel. When you find yourself in a truly desperate situation, what do? I think that's the moment the line between right and wrong can start to blur, where a good person might be tempted to do a bad thing simply to survive. A moment of desperation isn't just a challenge. It's a test. It's a test of your character and of the moral code you claim to live by. And that's the reality for Elena in this scene. When you find yourself completely, utterly alone, you start to question the people you thought would be there for you. It forces you to confront a deep truth that most of us are scared to face. You can't rely on other people to make you happy. Nobody is going to go out of their way to save you. In the end, there's only you, the only person you can truly count on. The only person responsible for your own rescue is yourself. It's a hard way of thinking, but when you adopt it, something interesting happens. Other people's contributions and kindness stop being expectations and start feeling like wonderful, unexpected bonuses. It limits the power that disappointment can have over you. But above all, it removes all the excuses we make for why we aren't happy. It leaves you with nothing but your own choices. Now, of course, I'm not saying that the choice to rely only on yourself is an easy one to make. In fact, this moment of desperation is precisely where most people falter. It's so easy to see a desperate situation as an excuse, as a permission slip to do a bad thing in the name of survival. But what we so often forget is that every choice we make has consequences that ripple outward, shaping our future. The situation you're in right now, good or bad, is almost certainly the result of an accumulation of all the choices you've made that led you to this exact moment. Every decision, big or small, is a stone laid on the path you walk. And that's what this story, A Concrete Promise, is really about. It's about characters who are living with the consequences of their choices and what they decide to do next when the path they've built for themselves leads them somewhere they never wanted to be. You can see Elena's facial expression is really starting to take shape now. And for me, this is the most important part of the entire piece. I wanted to capture that quiet, horrifying moment after the chaos. The big, tearful goodbye with her family has already happened. That's the expected part of the tragedy. But this is the aftermath. This is the look of profound, dawning realization of what it means to be truly and completely alone. Once I feel like I've captured the foundation of that expression, I can move on to the details that support it. I'm starting to render the background, paying attention to the cold, impersonal details of the airport ceiling. The folds of her coat are also incredibly important to the overall feeling of the piece. They aren't just fabric. They tell a story about her posture, about the way she's trying to hold herself together. Honestly, this is where all those years spent studying figure drawing at the Academy of Art University really pay off. Understanding how fabric drapes over a body, how it can convey tension or sorrow, those fundamentals are everything when you're trying to tell a story and make a painting more convincing. Now, let's talk about the lighting in this piece because it's the key to the entire mood. You can see I'm having the light come from those giant windows in the background. I'm using these warm, almost fiery yellows and oranges as if this whole tragic scene is unfolding during a dramatic sunset. What I love about this choice is the contrast it creates. The interior of the airport itself is all cool, dark blues and sterile grays. It's an impersonal, cold space. But this beautiful, warm light from the setting sun is streaming in, catching the highlights on Elena and the floor around her. It creates this sense of irony. The world outside is putting on this breathtaking display, but for her, all that warmth and beauty is on the other side of the glass, completely out of reach. The sunset light is a reminder that the world will keep doing its thing, regardless of what is happening to you at the moment. Even though this is a portrait of a woman who has been completely broken, I don't want to draw her as purely a victim. There needs to be a flicker of the strength that will be so important later in the story. You can see it in her posture. She's hugging herself, yes, but she's still standing, she's not collapsed. There's a resilience in her, even at this absolute rock bottom, and that's a key part of her character that I want to make sure comes through in the final drawing. A question I get asked sometimes is, why use traditional pastels in the age of digital painting and AI? For me, the answer is simple. It's about human connection. When you look at a digital image, you're seeing a perfect calculated product. But when you look at a traditional drawing, you see the evidence of a human hand. You can follow the lines, the strokes, and the shades, and know that each one was a choice made by an artist using a simple tool like a pencil. The work isn't just an image, it's a direct physical record of their time, their focus, and their touch. In that way, there's a piece of the artist's own spirit left behind in the drawing itself. A unique fingerprint that you can feel when you see the original work in person. That, for me, is a kind of magic that technology can't replicate. An AI can be trained to write a technically perfect story or generate a beautiful image, but it will never be as impactful as something created by a person, because a person pours their own life into the work, their experiences, their perspective, their heart. The message of the story, the emotion you see in a drawing, is coming from a living being who shares something fundamental with you. They know what it's like to feel sorrow or happiness. They are sharing a piece of a real, lived experience. So when you look at this finished drawing of Elena, alone in that airport, my hope is that you feel something real. Not just because of the colors or the composition, but because you know a human hand, guided by a human heart that understands her struggle, is the one that brought her to life. And that connection from one person to another is the most powerful story of all. Now, as I start working on the family members in the background, you'll see me switch from my pastel pencils to regular colored pencils. Because these figures are so small in the overall composition, I need a much finer point to capture those tiny details, so keeping the pencils extremely sharp is essential. This is actually one of the fantastic features of working with pastels. They play very nicely with regular colored pencils, which are perfect for this kind of detail work. There is one important limitation to keep in mind though. You'll notice I'm not doing any blending with the colored pencils. They just don't move around on pastel paper the way soft pastels do. Since these figures are so small in the frame, there's really no need for complex blending anyway. The most important thing is to maintain a very light pressure, and as I mentioned, keep those pencil tips as sharp as possible to get those clean, crisp lines. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio today. I truly hope you enjoyed watching the making of this illustration as much as I enjoyed creating it. I'd love to know what you think of the final image and the story behind it, so please let us know in the comments below. As you know, my novel, A Concrete Promise, is still a work in progress at the time of making this video. If you want to follow along on this journey and be the first to know when the book is finally ready for release, the best way to do that is to subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. We'd be honored to have you with us. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.